thank you for attending this exciting topic. It's a broad topic, strategizing competition, but it's very relevant in the market we're facing right now, not only in the UAE, but across the world. Hospitality industry is booming across different sectors and different markets. And I'm pleased to share the insights and to be moderating this stellar panel that includes experts from all parts of the value chain of hospitality development, from data analytics to data research, market research, financial feasibility studies, hospitality development, execution, project management, all the way to operations, which is what I am representing here today, and finally asset management and deal making. So I have a few questions that I'll be sharing with the panel today. Maybe if we could kick off with Philip. So STR has been kind of at the forefront of the competitive hospitality data space. How can hotels leverage your benchmarking data to navigate rising competitive pressures and drive performance?
Okay, thank you, Oliviero, and good morning, everybody. Yes, just very briefly on STR. STR have been collecting hospitality data for, I think, probably about 35 years, so we have a fairly good idea of how the hotel markets have performed worldwide. I think we operate in about 160, 170 countries. I mean, I would like to say, these guys might have a slightly different view, but I'd like to say that we are pretty much the cornerstone of the hotel industry when any investor perhaps is looking for an opportunity in hospitality and hotels, then we have a lot of information to share. We can provide a very detailed analysis of any market. We look at the top line numbers, occupancy, room rates and RevPAR, but we can take that back many years, so we can see how markets have developed over time, how they performed over time. So any investor would be pretty confident of an investment in a certain destination. As well as the performance data, we also look at the supply and pipeline data, so it gives a very good indication of the existing supply, what hotels are in a particular market, and what hotels are coming into a market. So it's an all-round kind of area that we can offer an awful lot of information for investors and consultants to sort of move forward on any kind of project.
Great, thank you. So essentially brands look at the data, right, the STR data, analyze it, and then the next question I guess for Turab at this stage is, how do the brands then differentiate themselves in this crowded market, where often competitors adopt similar strategies?
Thank you. In especially markets like UAE, Dubai, let's take it, city has 150,000 rooms. If you want to make a difference, you need to show something. You need to differentiate yourself, otherwise you're not, financially also you're not going to get much benefit until you don't differentiate yourself. So differentiation is not only to look different because you have a different jacket, a different tie, a different fashion, but you need to make sure financially it benefits you. A city like Dubai, where the margins are getting less and less, profitability is going low and low day by day. It is very important to differentiate yourself, to benefit with the better rates, better businesses. Now, how to differentiate? There are multiple ways to do it. Whenever I do any project, that's the first thing. From construction, while you start construction, you make sure there are some USP out of it. USP can be your F&B, USP can be your spas, USP can be your offerings. USP, one of the hotels I just went, they don't have any check-in, check-out. It's all done in a different manner than usual. But something that people remember and come back to you. F&B I use very often. It has a lot of benefits in it. A good restaurant in a hotel can make your life much easier. It can make your life easier for your sales team. A good F&B destination sells by itself. Take an example of a Grosvenor House here, a W Hotel in Doha, or Mandarin in Riyadh. These guys are doing exceptionally good. Why? They have a good F&B, which is unique. This helps them to differentiate themselves. So always think of bring something in. Is it a spa? Jumeirah Sarai at the Palm, because of the spa, it is different. People love to go there and relax in the spa because it's very rare you have similar spas. I have another hotel here in Media City called Media One. They pick up the guest in the truck and Harley Davidson. If there's a single guest with one luggage, they bring the luggage separately, they bring you or in the hotel through Harley Davidson. It's not about the Harley Davidson, this is just that it makes a noise in the market, it differentiates you. That guy on the Harley Davidson is going to go and tell it to 50 other people. So this is your marketing tool, this differentiate. So you don't need to do something too big. Sometimes small thing can differentiate you from others, and that can eventually help adding ADRs, occupancies. So this is always, whenever you develop any brand, any hotel, look for differentiation. This is the first step to do that in development.
Great, thank you. So essentially now we're at the stage where developers have analyzed the data provided by STR. They understand there's differentiation that needs to take place. So Max, how would you help your clients or developers? How do you help them find the right partners and develop successful projects?
I think it's very important to get the product right first. So that is along the lines of what Turab has said. We see sometimes owners and investors developing hotels following a certain vision of what they want to build, rather than analyzing their circumstances and looking at the competitors in the market currently, looking at upcoming supply that is entering the market, but also looking at demand generators around the plot that they're developing on. I think it's very important to take all these factors to that area and also service the demand profile of guests that are coming to that area. And then secondly, I think looking at the right product, you also need to have the right brand that matches that product. We do see that occasionally owners try to develop or try to get a brand on board that they favor in some certain way, rather than looking at what's actually the perfect benefit of certain brands and how can these benefits complement the product that you're building. So it's important to have the right product and then also match the brands to that product.
Great. So at this stage, let's say the developer, the client has analyzed the data, financial feasibility has been done thanks to your advice, the product has been defined. We're moving into an execution phase. So Pradipto, how can consultancy firms like yourselves help developers create that competitive edge for a hospitality project?
Right. So I have in my 28 years of experience in the industry, I've been lucky to be associated with hospitality projects, quite a few of them. And hotels are unique in nature. They are like a living organism. They have character, they have a soul. And every hotel is different from the other. We, as you said, we take the baton from these gentlemen and we execute the project. So we basically turn the dream into a reality. There are a lot of stakeholders or parties involved in the process. You've got stakeholders such as the owners, the investors, the operators, and then you've got the governing bodies, statutory authorities. Then you've got a whole set of consultants, architects, engineers, landscape architects, project managers, specialist designers like lighting, signage and wayfinding, kitchen, laundry, everything is there, spa. And then you've got contractors in the supply chain, which is vendors, equipment suppliers, and contractors. So the challenge is to bring this diversified group of people to achieve a common goal, to create a hotel with a soul. And it almost has to work as a kind of organized orchestra, orchestra and symphony rather than a cacophony of different instruments trying to play louder than the other. I represent a project management company, and that's our job, to bring together the people to perform to the best interest of the project. And I've spent my life in the consultancy industry, and what we do is, the approach that we take is an integrated design procedure and lean design principles. Integrated design procedure is a collective approach. Involve everyone in the cycle right from inception. So it's a collaborative procedure where not just the designers, but the end users, the operators, every stage constructability is taken into account right from day one. So a well-thought-of process, in Colliers we use a term called get it right solution. So plan well to perform well, basically. So it can be achieved through design trials, through workshops, through timely intervention when required. And that is what we take as a holistic approach towards design, not working in silos. We don't allow creation of a vacuum space. Now, beam delivery helps in this integrated design delivery procedure. You've got to gone are the days when you have X-riffs of AutoCAD drawings, a structure passes the problems to the architect passes to the MEP. Now it's an integrated beam delivery platform. And so everybody has a federated model that works on a three-dimensional integration. So there is nothing left to chances or possible miss-ups. And then you've got the lean design principles, which is borrowed from the production industry. We can apply it, say, for building services. You have the right planning of the MEP spaces, and then you have the right system selection, and then the right equipment selection. So ultimately, a project is a product of quality, time, and cost, the basic principles of project management. And if you integrate the whole process, then you tick all the boxes, right thing at the right time.
No, great. And that actually is a great segue to, so the conference is about innovation, right? So there's often this dilemma on how do we balance innovation and cost management, right? Which is a topic that I guess a lot of operators and developers have to face.
Yes.
How would you approach that?
Yeah, fundamental challenges. And again, our project has fundamentally two endpoints. The starting point is the perception and the reception of it, and then the realization. Whatever in between is the implementation phase. And what often happens is that we miss out. The project goes through a cycle of life in its own. So you've got the pre-concept design, the concept, the schematic, the detail design, the tender design, and then it goes into construction. What we often do is miss the basics that get your parameters set correctly, because every hotel, what these gentlemen do is set up the feasibility, set up the target, the return on investment, and all that. So there's a huge dependency on cost. You see a lot of design consultancy agreements, contracts from clients having a clause called design to budget. It's a very common thing nowadays, but how do we implement them is still, and that is where we say that, again, getting back to the basics of planning right to deliver right. So I've seen so many projects, not just hospitality, where the budget itself is not set. There's a huge difference or mismatch between the pre-concept vision and the reality check of the cost. So set the budget right, give it a check when a vision is getting approved by the investors and the big committee. Get a reality check on the cost. Is it adhering to the cost? Is it responding to the cost? Then start your journey, and then have the checks in place. Again, going back to the federated models and all that, don't wait till end of stage. The cost management team is part of the process. Cost is a dynamic item, often because of supply, the demand and supply, or different factors in the market. Steel cost rises, this goes down, and all that. So you keep a check every 15 days, have a design shadow, have a cost shadow, and monitor it, raise the alarms at the right time, have the value engineering done, have the right checks done. So basically, you have your checks in place, and don't wait till the damage has been done. You're taking informed decisions.
So on kind of this point, Turab, technology, right? There's big talk about AI, about technology, innovation. In terms of differentiating, and how can smaller brands leverage technology effectively?
Technology, adapting technology is no more, it's not an option. I like it, I don't like it. It is must. If you want to have any chance of survival for the hotels, let's take an example of today's market. This is one of the most booming time I've ever witnessed in the region. Our ADRs are highest ever, our occupancies are highest ever. Is it Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Riyadh? We are all doing good. Believe me, because I manage some hotels through asset management, the bottom line is disappearing. So you're making top line is great, occupancies are great, revenues are flowing left, right, and center. No bottom line for an investor, owner. Why? The labor cost has gone higher, all other costs have gone higher, so your profits are disappearing. Why? Because we are still operating the hotels like in 1940. Hospitality industry is the last industry to adopt the technology. We are the worst one. Look at where the airports are gone, look where the airlines are gone, automotive industry gone, mobile industry gone. We are still doing the same check-in we used to do it in 1920. We still, believe me, take this hotel too, I hope they're not listening. You go upstairs, accounting department has 22 people sitting doing payable and receivable. In today's world, we have 20 people doing nothing. Instead of going to the market, getting business or doing something else, half of the people are doing that sort of work. So we are the worst ones. So technology needs to kick in. It is must. And take over those roles. Accounting in my books, there's no accounting needs in the hotels. All automated, outsourced, done, finished, over. Same goes to marketing, same goes to engineering. Shut down, close up, and focus on the main business and allow technology to play its role. So answering to your question, the smaller is the hotel chain or the hotel, the more technology they need because they don't have a room of mistake. One mistake you're dead. So allow technology to come in. Now if you look at globally, I did a small study. Also when you look at today's hotel, when you're building, whom are you building it? I did one research last year. This hotel is not for me, not for you, not for Pradipto, not for you. It is for generation Alpha and Z. So look, what do they want? They don't want manual, they want everything to be done instantly, online. So look at their requirements. When they go to the room, they want to be instantly connected to the internet. They don't want check-in, check-out. If airline doesn't do check-in, check-out, all can be done online. How come you cannot do it? So your target audience, Z and Alpha, is getting into these technology. Then you need to adapt to it. So it's not only because your cost is higher, you need to lower it down, because your customers are technology savvy. These generations, coming generations, they're going to be fully into technology. My study that I did it, in the future, you enter into the room, you don't need to have 20 buttons to switch on lighting here and there and AC, find how to put it up and down. No. They will know Pradipto was here last 5 times in the same room and what light he wants in the morning, in the evening, at night, and why he sleeps it. So the lighting will adjust to AI will adjust it to what he feels comfortable. If you look at Al Jazeera or BBC, the TVs will give him option on top of the priority list will be what he likes. In the background, the music will play what he likes in his previous visits. So the system will adapt to those requirements rather than finding there is a button, how can I put the light up, and which button you push, some other different lights goes on and off. So this is, the bigger is the hotel, the more issue you have with the buttons. So it's all going to be automated. You enter the room and you have everything then and there adjusted by itself. Same check-in, check-out. Those who are not adapting to it, they will know you will not have 10 desks, check-in, check-out. It's done, it's finished, it's over. The quicker you adapt, the better it is. Payment. No. Everybody else in the world is online payment. How come here you have to do and go to the reception and pay? So all these things are going to be possible. So it's better we quickly adapt to it. The smaller or the bigger change doesn't matter. Otherwise, new, innovative and creative chains are coming in fully automated. There are 10 or 12 chains globally which are coming from China to Amsterdam to California. They will take over. These bigger guys will have more challenges with them. So it's time to adapt to the technology, lower your cost, have better profitability, and focus on the requirement of your Z and alpha generations.
That's great, and it's actually an opportunity, I guess, for smaller brands to, because they have less hotels to change the technology in, right? So to adapt, let's say. Just to pivot back to the operator search, and obviously it's a topic that I'm very concerned with, or very, involved in. Max, I've seen that developers and investors are looking for more and more details on the operator pitch, right? So I'm having to write very detailed performance and analysis of market, and so how do you help investors or developers when entering into discussions with operators like ourselves?
I think it is important to know that operators do not only compete for guests, they of course also compete for assets. And this is where you potentially see more and more requirements coming your way. I think owners and investors start to realize that if they run the process of an operator selection thoroughly, they can avoid a lot of problems that might arise later if they choose the wrong operator. So I think it is very important to benchmark when you do the operator selection process. We are currently involved in about 40 of these operator selection processes, so we have a wealth of data that we can analyze when it comes to commercial terms, when it comes to contractual clauses that can be or cannot be changed with certain operators. So as an owner-operator, I would always try to get as much data as possible in order to make an informed decision on which clauses I'd like to tackle with the operator and which contractual terms I am going to request. So yeah, I think knowledge is key here, data is key, and the differentiation at the end of the day lies in making the right decision with the brand where you get the strongest terms, but as I said earlier, also the brand that ultimately matches your product in the best way. So it's not all about commercials, it's a mix of both. You need to have the commercials right, but you also need to have your product right.
Great. That's a great segue to the next question for Philip. We've been working as the Lux Collective, we've been working very closely with STR for many years, and we obviously depend on the data that you collect, but maybe you might want to just share with the audience how you engage with operators and help them in their pitch, for example, to developers, that then goes, feeds into the consultants.
Well, I think one thing I would add that SDR has been, as I mentioned, been operating for 30-35 years. We're now acquired by a company called CoStar Group that have been operating in the commercial real estate space for, again, 35 years, headquartered in Washington, D.C. So they have been sort of working in the commercial real estate space for that period of time. Asset classes, everything from retail, offices, hospitality, industrial. We have an incredible wealth of data. That data now is available for, in the hospitality world, for all our clients to really sort of get down into the detail of that information. In terms of what we can provide, it is going back to not only the performance data, but looking at how destinations develop, and how they develop from a hotel point of view. We know and we see that many of these hotel brands have a huge amount of different brands within the parent company, and it's really trying to identify these hotels, the pipeline of these hotels, where they're coming in, what time, when they're opening, the facilities within these hotels. So, from an operator selection point of view, there's more and more information consultants to work with. Before these hotels open, when in the planning stages, we provide an awful lot of data, an awful lot of trend data to really understand how these hotels will perform once they do open. Not only in the top line, but all the way through to GOP levels. So we look at the cost structure as well as the revenue numbers. So all that data is available to make some really good decisions moving forward. And then you can also compare against other comparable, similar destinations, similar hotels, how these hotels have performed and ramped up from opening as well. So a lot of information, and I think we do provide a lot of the foundations for a lot of these decisions, financial investment decisions to take place.
Great, thank you. Just to move to a different topic, I want to go back to you, Pradipto, on something that as the Lux Collective we're very proud of, which are our ESG initiatives, especially on the environmental side, the sustainability. How would you help kind of clients of yours, whether it's on the client side or on the operator side, kind of integrate these kind of solutions to attract the modern travelers that are looking for sustainability-driven destination or hotels and experiences?
Right. Hotels, by nature, they could have a lot of impact on pollution, on waste generation, and a negative impact on natural resources, water, electricity. So sustainability and integrating sustainable design into hotel design is a necessity, it's not an option anymore. And we have seen, we have to leave a word for our posterity. And we have to create something which the future generation would be able to live and love it. So sustainability basically is to reduce the negative impact on the environment and create a project which is conducive to your society as well as to the environment. The society part is important because tourism industry is like 1 out of 10 people employment is from the tourism industry. So we have a lot of impact on the society and we have to embrace them. They should not feel alienated from project. The Paris Climate Convention, they have mandated that by 2030, the greenhouse emission from hotels per room should decrease by 66% and 90% by 2050. And research shows that even travelers prefer to visit hotels which have got better sustainable approach and initiative. Now, some of the common approaches are obviously water conservation, fixtures, effective water management, recycling, energy efficiency, high performance envelope, effective air conditioning system, energy modeling and monitoring. You can have passive design principles, which are like going back to the basics, orient the building properly in the right direction, have thermal mass in the building, shading principles, minimize waste through construction waste management, composting, recycling processes, sustainable materials, which can think globally and buy locally, sustainable procurement, renewable energy obviously, which could be solar, wind, geothermal, green certification. It helps you to put the checks in place basically. There are a lot of them. We have in UAE and Abu Dhabi and Dubai the green certification, the Al-Safat and the Istidama, and obviously global ones. Sustainable landscaping. Landscape architects nowadays, they don't design for you and me only, they design for the environment. They create a habitat for the flora and fauna. They attract to encourage the flora and fauna in those habitats. That's their target, not designing pathways for you and me only. That's part of the process anyways. And then have sustainable transportation, sustainable procurement, and have some behavioral changes, encourage behavioral changes in your staff as well as your customers. And some of the examples of good implementation of these, I'll just give a few examples. The Oasia Hotel, downtown Singapore. It's a 27-story mixed-use hotel and office skyscraper, which has got on its facade 21 species of climbing plants, which attracts 18 species of wildlife into it. It's like a park, a vertical surface of building. Crown Plaza Copenhagen, which generates all of its power from renewable sources. Tree Hotel in Sweden, which has got the hotel modules placed on the tree trunks, pine trees. And then you've got the Whiteboard Resort in Switzerland, which takes ecotourism to a different level. They have these sheepskin blankets and wood stoves. And I have visited recently, I had a family holiday in Finland. In Rovaniemi, they have these ice hotels, which are created out of ice blocks, local artisans. 3 months they create the hotel, and then in the summer it just melts out. Another level.
Fascinating. Fascinating. I mean, I can concur. I mean, on the, as part of the sort of the reporting standards, the GRI, the Global Reporting Initiative, is a key for hospitality companies like ourselves that are publicly listed or have to report sustainability ESG standards. So it's a very important topic. I think it's going to be even more important as years come. Just to kind of look out into the future and maybe give some suggestions. Max, what advice would you have for emerging hospitality entrepreneurs that want to, about navigating competition at various levels?
I'd say in the beginning, definitely make sure that your pre-development phase is, and your analysis in the pre-development phase is done thoroughly. Make sure your funding is solid, both on the equity and the debt side. Manage development costs. I think we all have experienced over recent years what inflation and increases in development costs can do to projects. And lastly, I would say once the asset is operational, make sure you get a strong asset manager in there who ensures that the asset is run to its full potential and to maximize returns as much as possible.
And Philip, on that point, in terms of like the future outlook and how you can support the industry over not just with the current data, but also kind of forecasting. How can STR help on that front?
Well, we look very much at the future, but I think it's also important to understand that there are certain sensitivities around forward-looking data. We certainly do look at it from a projection point of view, and we're working on, I think at the moment we work on about 95, a lot of detail, 95 different markets, big markets around the world. With the new platform, we're looking at forecasting a couple of years ahead for every market, every sub-market that we have on the books. But there is sensitivity. We looked at, for example, looking at average room rate growth, where we see the room rate moving. But because of the data that we have and the depth of data, getting into the room rates is a little bit difficult. But we certainly look at it from an occupancy point of view, from a demand point of view. As far as AI, we're looking at it, but we don't want to lose sight of what we do as a business. It is something we're looking at from perhaps market reviews, looking at market reviews, but we spend a lot of time analysing the data, looking at where this data is heading. But I always think, and I've always said this, I mean, I've been in STR for 15 years, that the future is, I'm not going to say it's pretty obvious, but the future really starts with the present, doesn't it? It really starts with the past, the present, and we can pretty much see where the future will be, barring some major events. But on the new platform, that's all coming through. We are looking at the room demand for a couple of years in the future, so all available.
Great, thanks. And finally, Turab, I'll hand you over the crystal ball, right? How do you see competition evolving in the hospitality industry? You've been traveling around the world, advising clients across the globe. There's the rise of alternative accommodations like Airbnb, there's new entrants in the market, there's the Lux Collective coming into the Middle East. How do you see the competition evolving?
So starting point, all is positive. All future looks bright. Why? Simple. Today, after hundreds and hundreds of years of since the tourism here, reached 1.5 billion tourists globally, with a revenue 10 trillion released this year. Last year, sorry. It took us ages. And the good news is, this 1.5 billion now, in coming 20 years, we're going to double it. So what will happen in hundreds of years, now we're going to double it in just 20 years. It's 6.4% is the rate, growth rate, which means in just over 20 years we will cross that 20-25 years, we will double it. So there's plenty of room. There's a lot of new destinations are going to come. I think any destination who want to come to the tourism, this is the right time globally. So that's a good news. So there's a lot of room for everybody. And I also don't like, everywhere you have Marriott or Hilton or Iptaka. No, there should be a room for everybody. And also, you don't want to be bored having the same room all the time. So let's give it a different touch with Airbnb. It's a totally different, somehow different clientele. It has its own offering. So I don't see this eating his share or he's eating their share. No, they're both going to grow. They're both going to go. There's plenty of, as a matter of fact, my personal research and opinion says there should be some more options for clients rather than the same boring big, these 5-6 brands. There should be variety of options. That's one. But on the other hand, there's a challenge with the way tourism is growing. There's a huge challenge Airbnb has created. If you go to Amsterdam, Florence, Rome, some of the developed destinations, Airbnb has messed up the cities because locals can't find the room. And because everybody wants to do Airbnb. So if you are a student or you are living in that city, you want to rent a house, nobody wants to rent you because they're making better money through Airbnb. So to the mature market, Airbnb is creating a problem. And a lot of, like Florence, Amsterdam, and many other cities, they're putting restrictions on it. Now you cannot do it in every house. And the students even can't find the accommodation, so which is not fair enough. So they need to shift themselves, they need to put some, city to city, they need to relook at it. But the new destination, the emerging market, there is a plenty of room for everybody. And I think everybody's going to make money in the coming years. The way it's going to double over the year. The tourism will double.
Inshallah. So we have a minute and a half. I'm not sure if we have any questions from the audience. I think there's a microphone going around. I can't see the line in front of me. So if there's any questions, feel free to raise your hand and somebody will come with the microphone. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up here. It's been a pleasure sharing thoughts and outputs and outcomes on this topic of competition in the Middle East. Thank you very much for your attendance and hope to see you soon.
Thank you.